Well, just the noise factor. Yeah. Hey, y'all, what's going on? I hope y'all are doing good today. It's time to get started with this week in supervision. And I'm gonna tell you this particular subject really went over well. I jumbled it up a little bit today because of the fact that I'm out of pocket. I am not at home, and so I'm on this little small computer. But we're gonna jump on in. Stuff is just jumping up on my screen. I'm hoping this goes over well. But oh man, so what we do, of course, with This Week in Supervision, we're trying to help individuals who have come out of our training for our supervisor training, that are looking to provide supervision, to give them the skills and subject matter to be able to share with their groups. But this is also, I don't think it's enough platforms that kind of help us to understand the therapeutic process, interventions, just what to do with different cases. And so that's what I try to help my supervisees with as well. But, just to share with you all a little bit about our training, we do have awesome supervisor training coming up, and that will be in July, on July 24th and 25th. And so if you all are interested in information, just let us know. And we would love for you to attend the training. We had an awesome training and got some great responses last time. But I want to jump on in and let's see if we can stop the share here. And we're going to start right off with a scenario. I want you to be thinking like you're in family therapy. This is your client. And how would you deal with the situation? For those of y'all, I want to give a quick backdrop, and I should have started my timer, but hey, Siri, set timer to 10 minutes. So I'm sorry, I wanted to give you all a quick backdrop. Forgive the background, sorry, y'all. But I wanted to get this in of the case that we're dealing with. And so there was a show called Ryan. What was it called? It was a show with Ryan and Tatum O'Neal. Background quick was that Tatum is the daughter of Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal, they both end up being movie stars, but she was raised first by her mother. I don't think that they were married, her and the husband, her and the dad, or they were separated or something. But anyway, her mother was an actress as well. She ended up having some drug issues, some drug problems, and so she went on to get her children taken away because they were being neglected, and that was Tatum. In the process, she's leaving mom, then she goes to dad, and dad just kind of like pours out the world in a sense. They became really close, became movie star co-stars, but she ended up having some sexual abuse and things like that multiple times. Her story is very compelling. But anyway, fast forward, he got married to Farrah Fawcett from, I think, Charlie's Angels, and I don't want to give nothing away, but anyway, so we're looking at what would be the situation if this was your client and they're interacting like this. I'm just going to play a small clip, and then we're going to process as much as we can after watching this clip, and I'm hoping that it shows the way that I need it to. All right, so let's start, and I actually showed like 4 different clips doing supervision, but I want you to be thinking about how would you deal with this situation. We're focusing in more on this one, on a specific situation. Can you identify what's going on here? All right.
And I don't have any notes. I want to try to wing it.
Clearly, I've done a lot more work in therapy than Ryan, that I've looked at a lot of, my part in things. And I think my dad doesn't like to really talk about the past or talk about stuff that happened. He sort of sees it his way, and I see it my way. And I have faith that my way is the right way, the way I see it.
It's hard to be around somebody who's, you're going to see has a bad taste in their mouth about you. You and I, we're not just father and daughter, we're also co-stars. Mm-hmm. And so we have a relationship that differs from a lot of people, but it's far more intimate. She could finish my sentences. That's how close we were. Mm-hmm. And we'd have to get up in the morning together and go to work together, and then drive home together and talk about what happened during the day and at dinner, and then collapse just to start again the next day. Mm-hmm. And she was 9, and we would talk like 2 adults about our work and about the drama of our lives, which was always kind of intense. It was a perfect union. It was better than anyone I'd ever had with any of my wives or girls. Perfect. I'd sure like to get that back.
But Dad.
What did I do?
No. You have a funny time seeing what is your daughter.
How do you know?
Because I can hear it.
No, you can hear it.
He does this thing where he like doesn't differentiate me as a daughter. I'm just kind of a woman or a chick or a female. And I just want him to like not go there. I think he's had such a profound, big relationships with women that putting me in a box and figuring out how to deal with me as a daughter is like, what is this? You know, because you've
It's
had
a little more complicated.
Yeah.
The word that comes to my mind is a very simple word, is boundaries. Those boundaries are very important.
So what does that
struggling with
mean
it.
to you, Dad? Like a boundary? Like what does that mean?
Well, we never had any, you know. We couldn't. We worked together. You understand?
you
They
didn't have any.
And you did. This little girl had a boundary?
I didn't know what they were. I was learning from you. So you're my
So you didn't have
teacher.
them either.
I look to you to teach me.
Oh, darn it. Actors don't always have the same kinds of boundaries. Sometimes you have to undo the boundary so that you can find the moment.
His behaviors as an adult with me as a kid created havoc. Like I didn't know if I was coming or going. I was far too close to him. I'd gone to every party with him. I'd done movies with him. He was my whole reason in life to survive. The only real connections that I've had in my family were with my dad.
I mean, we clashed at one point so hard, so destructively that she fled.
I'm not gonna feel guilty. I'm just not gonna let him.
Oh, I don't know that I'm saying it for that, Tatum. No, I swear.
So
Okay.
basically,
Oh, darling,
she
not at all.
abandoned him.
But you can feel guilty.
I'm not gonna.
I've been letting everyone believe for years that it was me who abandoned her, but that really isn't the case. Desert the fort, it's not right.
It was heartbreaking.
My dad can or only will go so far
Anyway,
with
okay.
revelations of the past.
So we gotta stop
Or-
this. Let me stop the share. And okay, so what's going on here, y'all? It's and again, these are real people, so we don't want to be critical of any individual or person or what have you, but we want to look at this as if this was your client. What would you be looking at? And so in supervision, it's so much just off of just those couple minutes, right, that we could be looking into. And so in supervision, you might want to ask your group, like, you know, if we were looking at a treatment plan and trying to get things ready, say this was the first session, what would we be looking at here? You know, what would we be looking at? And so let me go and share my screen back again. And so, yeah, what kind of things would you be looking at? And you might have them write it down, put it in the chat, do something like that. And so there's so much. I didn't want to just fill up the whole time, but like it's some major boundary issues. Like what you're looking at is two therapists. I don't know if it showed both therapists on this time, but they were going in. But basically, they were both getting therapy. At one point, they had two therapists helping them that came together. Anyway, and so and they have been not in relationship at that time. This was years ago, for like 20-25 years or something. So something bad happened. But what are we looking at for treatment? So we got to look at some boundary concerns. How would you classify some of the things that you see going on between the father and the mother? Definitely looks like maybe some issues of enmeshment, parentification. We talked about that, parentification. What is parentification, right? And so abandonment, abuse, possible abuse. We don't know, you know, if it's drugs, you know, I'm only being able to show you all one of the clips, but he was taking her out to parties with drugs. She was his personal escort. She was in places that no child needed to be. Trust, role confusion in relationships is what I'm looking at. Like unhealthy attachment is some things that I want to rule out if we need to treat. Self-esteem issues, self-worth issues. Emotional incest is a lot what was being talked about in the groups. Is there some emotional incest going on here? Is there some narcissism going on? Some traits of definitely the father. Blame, shame, and guilt, because it seems like there's a back and forth of blame and shame and guilt. Now he's moving from the one being the one that had abandoned to put her in that position. Then that makes me think, like, is he a gaslighter? It's so many things, depression, but we got to move on. So next you might want to say, what did so this is the question that I would definitely have, y'all. This is a question I would definitely have, because look, if you know, for one thing, and we may get to this, let me just stick with the notes. What I want to know, like, if he's so caught up in his daughter, and we have these people in treatment, if he's so caught up, at that time with his daughter, what would that look like if he gets in a romantic relationship with a woman? Okay. Now, I would have my own suspicions if he displays narcissistic type of tendencies. Why? Because narcissists have the tendency to use you when they need you, and that's where I don't want to give stuff away. That's where they use you when they need you, but then they discard you when they don't. So the question for me is going to be: is it going to be a balance when a woman comes in, or is it going to be an abandonment? And so that's, in my mind, something that I'm wanting to trace and understand just with seeing where they are in their relationship, right? What happened? What happened when you got in a relationship? Because if y'all haven't talked for 20 something years, it seems like a lot of bad stuff must have happened. Why did she not want to talk to you? Right? It's a lot of things going on there. And like I may have mentioned, she was ended up being sexually abused multiple times. Okay. Other questions that you kind of throwing out there, or putting out there for your supervisees to be asking is like, okay, what other questions or what other things are we looking at? So some things I would want to know: in order to treat this situation, it's going to be important to know what often causes enmeshment in relationships with a father and daughter. Like, it's not inappropriate for the daughter because she doesn't know any better. But what are some, in order to treat something properly, you've kind of got to have some context as to why this even occurs in the first place. So be thinking about this. If you have some man or woman that's in a enmeshed relationship with their child, why is this happening? Well, many times it could be that we have overprotectiveness, obvious lack of boundaries, but the one I want to hit on is emotional dependence. If the father becomes emotionally dependent on his daughter, we're at 10 minutes. Okay. So if the father becomes emotionally dependent on his daughter for companionship, support, or validation, it can lead to an enmeshed relationship. Obviously, the father may rely on his daughter for fulfilling his emotional needs, which can hinder her ability to develop her own identity. So how is that going to impact her? So we're asking questions. There's questions that's going on in your mind. You may be asking questions, but like, what caused that bridge? What caused that gap? Well, think about this. I don't know if I mentioned her mother ended up dying after, while she was young, after she had moved with her dad. I think it was an overdose or something, or some related, maybe lung or something related to her abuse. I don't know, but she ended up dying. We processed that. Just with somebody dying, there's abandonment concerns that end up going, even if there wasn't abuse, because you feel like abandonment means somebody left me. So let's just say that she had a good relationship with her mother, and then her mother left her. Then that makes you feel many times when you get into new relationships, man, that the ball's going to drop if anything is getting good. It may even cause you to self-sabotage. So I'm looking at all these things, and this is what you want to make sure your clinicians are looking at. What's some other things? What are some of the common characteristics or consequences of an enmeshed relationship? We don't have any time left. Let's skip down to this one. Boundaries and roles are blurred. There may be a lack of boundaries and role definition within the relationship. The father may have difficulties recognizing and respecting his daughter's individuality, treating her more like a romantic partner. So this is what happens, or confidant rather than a daughter. So if she's put everything into her father, maybe her father doesn't do well with relationships. That's why he's leaning on her. He doesn't do well with maybe any relationships. He's leaning on her. She puts everything into him. She's been abandoned by her mother in her mind. Mother's deceased. Mother was not caring for her correctly because of the drug abuse. Can you imagine? And then she puts everything into her. And then here comes Farah, and then he leaves. So that right there, if that's my client, like I said, I was in a group and I was like, man, I'm ruling out, like, is she suicidal? Like, does she sabotage a relationship? Has she been married like multiple times? Because that's what I'm seeing in my mind. Matter of fact, I typed in Tatum suicide, and she has had a suicide attempt. I would think it would be abnormal, or multiple. I would think it would be abnormal that these kind of things might not happen, just for the simple fact of your belief in yourself and ability to attach in relationships is screwed up, okay? Unless you're getting the help and he's still showing narcissistic tendencies. If you study this story, it's pretty serious. We've got to wrap up. Oh, okay. Other questions. When the father shifts his attention from the daughter to his wife, what changes may occur in enmeshed relationships and the family dynamics, especially with the daughter? And these are questions that you might throw out there with your group. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have time to read them all, but listen to what he said. We'll read this first one. In family therapy, the father of the adult client describes their relationship as far more intimate than others, where they would talk like adults about work and personal drama, even though the client was only 9 years old. The father also expresses that this relationship was superior to any he had ever had with his wives. What is going on here? Is this A, industry versus inferiority, B, emotional abuse, C, parentification, D, scapegoat? The answer for this one is parentification. And this is what the group you're going through, making sure they know about this, because the deeper that they know assessment and theory, the easier it is going to be able to treat these situations. And so, I mean, we could go on and on. Here's another question. The theory of diffuse boundaries, which we didn't get into today, in a family system is associated with which prominent psychologist? That would be Bowen, C, right? Question, what is meant by diffuse boundaries? You know, you want to make sure your folks know that ideas for supervision and ideas on how to, what to do in a treatment situation. A lot to deal with in this situation. What would your prognosis be? I honestly would say, and she's been, heavy use of drugs herself, I don't see it as being that great of a prognosis, but you hope for the best. Because I'm not sure that he is grounded. The father was never emotionally, not grounded appropriately. He doesn't see boundaries correctly, and that makes it many times difficult to process things correctly in these situations. But we're going to let you go. Hope y'all enjoy the presentation for today. And this week in supervision, y'all have a blessed weekend until we meet again. Take care. Bye.